Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Someone on my last video asked me if I could talk about unconventional supports. So I figured I would do a commentary on a unconventional support game that I played and kind of talk about what I think of them. So as you can see, this is on patch 4.1 or 4.0, whatever it is, with all the new icons and stuff. So I guess the most common unconventional supports right now that you guys have seen in competitive play are Amumu, Malphite, and Kainy. Those are probably the three most common. So in this game I'll be playing Amumu, and basically the idea is, okay, I'll just say that the idea of playing these supports is that the support's role in the current meta is to initiate. So when you're playing, if you're able to play a champion that has really good initiation, like Amumu or Malphite or Kainy, then it works out really well for you. The only problem is getting through the laning phase. So let me just rewind a little bit so I can talk a little bit about what I'm trying to accomplish here in the early game. For starters, I'm running health regen Quints, and I'm also running 0-16-14 masteries, and I'm starting with the Doran Shield. So this start gives me the best laning phase possible is basically what it does. And you can see that I immediately just want to start shoving out the lane because I want to hit level 2 first, or at least shove the lane so we have more minions so they can't trade with me for free, because obviously a champion like Amumu does not have a good pre-6 laning phase in the bot lane. So I just want to push the lane and play safe pretty much and survive until level 6, because that's when you can start making plays with Amumu. So I decided to go with this health regen page, which it's like 8.1 health regen from Quints, and then I have the 10 health regen from Doran Shield plus passive health regen, and then Amumu also has reduced damage from auto attacks and physical damage on his E, so that reduces it by 2 for each rank, and then on top of that I have Doran Shield as well. So I'm kind of able to just sit here and just run at them and kind of be another target. I can't really do much outside of that, but in here I get hooked. It was a really good fake by Thresh, and I run back to hit the hook to him, and then I'm forced to flash out, dodge the Q here just barely, and I'm going to live from this and pop up both of my health pots. Really good hook by Thresh. He faked me out. He was looking towards looking towards Jinx, and hooked me instead. But you'll see that with my 2 health pots and this health regen, I'm going to be up to full health like in no time, essentially. And also in my 0-16-14 page, I actually take Perseverance instead of MR like I normally do, just to get extra regen. So you see I'm already up to almost full HP, even though I just got chunked down to like 50. So yeah, Ezreal jukes here a little bit, but anyway, I'm not going to commentate too much on what's going on in the game, at least for now. I just kind of want to talk about the different supports, since that's what since that's what the person wanted. So yeah, continuing with that train of thought, Amumu, Malphite, and Kainy all have these AoE ultimates that are really good initiations. So if you're able to make it past the laning phase, then you end up having really good initiations in team fights, and you can carry your team that way. And champions like Malphite and Kainy don't even have that bad of laning phases. Malphite has really good poke with his Q. This is a pretty funny outplay by a bottom lane. Jinx gets killed there, and she's gonna finish up the kill here. I managed to survive just barely, and bait them around a little bit for Jinx to get double kill, and the lane kind of snowballs off of this. But anyway, Kainy actually has a pretty decent laning phase. I mean, I wouldn't say it's good. I would say it's okay. It's similar to like a double AD carry thing, which works well against some matchups, but generally speaking, I think it's kind of weak. Not as weak as a Mumu, obviously, but it's just okay. Malphite has a pretty good laning phase, I would say. He has a lot of poke, and he has the attack speed reduction, like someone like a Mumu. I mean, Nunu. And then obviously at 6 he has a lot of burst damage and initiation. So I would we saw Malphite from Mafa on KT Bullets and OGN last night, and we've seen Amumu and Kainy from Edward. Here, I'm just trying to dodge the hook. I think I end up getting hooked anyway. Yeah, end up getting hooked anyway. I take a lot of damage. But I have so much regen that you'll see I just regen through all this damage. I don't want to have a health pot, but through Targon's Endurance Shield, my regen is like through the roof right now. Let's just look at what it is. It's 42 health regen per 5. Like, I'm healing a health pot every 15 seconds base. I pretty much have a health pot running constantly is what this is. Actually, is that right? Yeah, it's almost a health pot running constantly. I'm 24 health short from health pot. Wow, that is insane. Oh, that is crazy. Anyway, health regen Quince at work right there. Anyway, what was I saying before that? I was talking about Mafa playing Malphite, I think. Yeah, anyway, so let's talk about some other supports that may have a chance to make it in the competitive scene. Or even solo queue. Let's just say solo queue. So, personally, this is something, all these supports are something I've been thinking about since Season 4, or the pre-Season 4 patch came out, 3.14. Or maybe it was, yeah, I think it was 3.14. And the first thing that I thought of was Ashe and Varus. I was like, oh, Ashe and Varus are going to be OP, because they have their 80 carries that have a lot of range, they can poke a lot in lane, and then on top of that they have initiation abilities. Ashe has one of the best initiations in the game, and Varus is pretty similar to Ashe Arrow in a way. So yeah, those were the two that I was thinking were going to be really strong. And I've played Ashe support, but I haven't played Varus support yet. So I don't really know how strong they are, but I think in theory it makes sense. It doesn't work really against champions like Annie and Leona, but to be honest, you can't really use that argument because, you know, Annie and Leona are going to be anything, right? So I wouldn't argue for any of these unconventional supports to be like top 3, like beating Annie, Thresh, and Leona, because I think those 3 are just too strong at this point. Maybe with the Annie nerf she'll be a little bit weaker, but generally speaking, you know, I wouldn't use that as an argument to say, well, you can't play Ashe support because it loses to Leona and Annie. Well, yeah, so does everything else. So I would say that Ashe and Varus should work pretty well in theory. I've played Ashe before. I haven't played it a lot, but the times I did play it, it worked pretty well. You are vulnerable to ganks early on because they don't have CC pre-6, and it's hard to set up kills early. No CC outside of slows, I mean. Yeah, pre-6 they are pretty weak, but basically what you want to do is just look to shove lane over and over and over and poke with your range. So if you're able to do that and live until level 6, then your initiation becomes pretty brutal. Yeah, and then obviously you can build either damage items or CDR to become more effective in the late game as well. Excuse me. So Ashe, Varus, talk about those two, and let's talk about, let's see, what other ones are there? Rumble. Rumble is one of them that I was thinking of. Rumble is kind of similar to Amumu in the sense that his laning phase would be pretty bad. He does have a shield to negate some damage, so that he has that going for him. And then he has a little bit of poke with Electro Harpoons. Maybe you could even rank up, like put 2 or 3 ranks in Electro Harpoons early to get a little bit more poke. I don't know the exact numbers on that. It might not be worth it, but I think it has potential to be pretty good. And then once you hit level 6, obviously Rumble's all-in potential is insane if you're able to land ults. And above all, in the competitive scene, Rumble is always seen as a champion that doesn't need many items. All you need is a Haunting Guise and Sorc Shoes, because then you have the penetration to do a lot of damage with their ultimate. So that's another beneficial thing of playing Rumble, is that as a support you don't get that many items, and when you're playing Rumble you don't need a lot of items to be effective. So Rumble can be pretty strong. So that's another one I think can work pretty well. Let me just look at the champion list real quick so I can see what other champions would be good. Let's see. I guess we could talk about, like, I don't really consider Cassiopeia unconventional, honestly, because maybe it's because I used to play her in Season 3, but I guess I can talk a little bit about Cassiopeia. So I played Cassiopeia not a lot in Season 3, but I did play her, and after I played her for maybe 10 games or so, I came to the conclusion that she was just a worse version of Zyra. The reasons why I say that is because Zyra and Cassiopeia can both shove lanes super hard in laning phase, but so they both have that going for them, and then on top of that they both have amazing counter engage with their ultimates. Zyra can place it down in a huge area and it stops everyone, knocks everyone up, and then Cass has the kind of signature, the original counter engage of stunning everyone that looks at her. So can pretty much only be used as, well, not only that, the slow is also a decent initiation, but just like Zyra's ultimate, it can be used as initiation, but it's not the best use of that ability. So the real difference comes in that Zyra has a snare pre-6, some form of hard CC pre-6, and Cassiopeia does not. So personally, I see Cassiopeia as just a worse version of Zyra. So I don't really see a point in playing her, to be honest. Like, maybe if Zyra was strong right now, then I would consider her being a good option. But because Zyra isn't even strong, then I don't see the point in playing Cassiopeia. This is why I used to play Cassiopeia in Season 3, is because Zyra was actually arguably the best support in the game before Annie was discovered. Like a Worlds area, Zyra was considered the best support in the game. Pumondu on SKT played it every single game it was open. So that's why I don't think Cassiopeia is good. Let's see what other supports there are. Who else has a really good initiation? Maybe Nautilus. Let's see if there's any others before I stop there. Nautilus. Maybe you could argue Zac. Zac is pretty weak though. Oh, Wukong. So let's talk about Nautilus and Wukong. Wukong is a support that... Oh, let's talk about Nautilus first. So Nautilus is kind of similar to Amumu in the sense that he has a really bad laning phase, although I think that Nautilus's pre-6 laning phase is actually better than Amumu. And I would say that it's countered by the fact that Amumu is better post-6, at least in my opinion. The reasons why I say that is because Amumu's ult captures a bigger distance, and really what you want in an initiation is something, I don't know how to explain it, but basically an AoE ability just has more impact than a single target ability. Like, even when we see Vi in competitive play, it's like, yeah, obviously she has really good initiation to kill one target, but what's really scary is like a Leona or an Annie engage, because they're AoE, they can catch multiple people off guard. It's just a bigger threat overall. But like I said, Nautilus's pre-6 is probably better than Amumu's. He has, oh god, I don't even know how many, 4 forms of CC. Well, pre-6 he has 3, 2 of them being hard CC. And he also has more damage. So he has that going for them, and if you go with the same kind of health regen Quince, then you can survive through the laning phase pretty easily, I would say. So Nautilus has some potential, I think. I still think Amumu is better. It's hard to say. I don't want to say for sure before I actually play it, but I would say that Amumu is better than Nautilus. But Nautilus seems like he would be a pretty decent choice. And then Wukong, which I have played, I think is actually really strong. Wukong's laning phase is actually really strong to begin with. It's so hard as a support player to really do anything when Wukong just keeps jumping on you and then Wing out. Like, Wukong's mana costs are so low that you can just keep using your E to go in and you W out, and there's no counterplay. Like, you can't do anything after that. All you can really do is maybe like flash Flay after he comes out of invisibility and then hook him or something like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously on a champion like Leona you can just kill him, but again, I don't want to rule a champion out just because they're not good at playing against Leona, because no one is good against Leona, at least in my opinion. I mean, Thresh is okay, but still. What was I saying? Oh, Wukong. And then Wukong obviously has an amazing initiation with his decoy into his E into his ult. So you have a lot of distance that you can close, because you can use your decoy to go invisible, and then you close a gap with that, and then you close another gap with your E, and then you can ult. You can even add in a flash in there for another gap closer. So I have played Wukong support, and I actually think it's really good. Let me see if there's any other supports. We have about a minute left in this replay. Let's see. I think that covers about all the initiation supports. That maybe Galio, but nah, Galio's so meh. Gragas could work just because Gragas is overpowered. I don't really want to. I don't know. I don't really see a point talking about Gragas, because, like I said, he's only really good because he's overpowered. Something that we might see come back is Sona, because with everything starting to be based around initiation now, Sona can be, yeah, really useful, but squishy supports just don't really do it in this meta. And that's another one of the things, is that you saw at level 1 I had like 720 HP on Amumu, starting with no health Quince, keep in mind. If you ran health regen Quince on Sona, you would have like 500 HP at level 1 or something really bad like that. So that's another advantage of these unconventional supports, is that they're so tanky innately that you can get away with running health regen quints, and then by level, what was it, level 4, when I had Targon's Endurance Shield, I'm already innately running a health pot constantly just by health regen alone. So yeah, it's actually, I don't know, it's an interesting time in the meta right now, with how the support role is. It definitely leaves open a lot of options for unconventional supports, and kind of takes out a lot of the options for traditional supports like Nami and Sona, Soraka, Janna, Taric. Although Taric is kind of a tank-ish. But yeah, hopefully this was interesting for you guys to listen to, and if you have any questions or suggestions about other supports that you want to hear me talk about, or any honorable mentions that you want to add into the comment section, I can maybe just comment back and tell you what I think about them. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you guys for the next video.